Hey guys, Umblestad here with a new video. This time we have The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 5. Now, after the great success of Episode 4, like what a great episode Episode 4 was, but after that, how are they going to top it? Well, I say they didn't top it, but they did a pretty good job. So before I get on with this review, I just want to let you guys know that this review does contain spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happened, just go watch the episode and come back. So let's get right into this review. Right off the bat, we see that Andrea is actually still in Woodbury with Michonne, and they're having a party. Woodbury's actually having a party, and she's actually talking to the governor's scientist a little bit more, kind of familiarizing themselves with each other. And again, that's where my theory comes in. I think the governor's scientist is actually going to help them, and somehow maybe he's going to help Andrea escape or something like that. But we'll get on to this later, what happens with Michonne. Two really big things happen in this episode. Michonne actually leaves Woodbury, and we actually see the governor's daughter, which was awesome. And that's right off the bat. I'll get to that right away almost. So we basically see that. That's two really big things that happen in this episode. But overall, I think it was a really solid episode. So right off the bat, we see that. See Andrea talking to the scientist, and then we go and we actually see the governor, and he looks okay, he looks calm, nothing looks wrong with him, and he's brushing a little girl's hair. He's brushing and he's brushing. Then a piece of the skull falls off. I was like, whoa, man, whoa. And I kind of already figured out that it was actually Penny, and Penny's actually the name of the governor's daughter. And in the comics and even in the novel, his daughter actually plays a huge role. And spoiler alert, that's actually not his daughter in the comics. It's actually his brother's daughter. So in the comics, that's actually who it is. So that's not even really his daughter. But I think in the show, I think they actually made it his daughter, because even there was a picture on his nightstand, I guess, of him, his wife, and Penny. So I'm pretty sure it's actually his daughter. But like I said, in the comics, it's actually his brother's daughter. So that's kind of another thing they changed. But it was really cool to see his daughter, and he's brushing her hair and stuff, and then she kind of gets out of control, and he puts just a bag on her head and just kind of calm down, calm down. I was like, whoa, man, this is kind of really gross out, and it was just disgusting, really cruel to see this guy put a bag over a child's head. And even Penny was in a straitjacket too, so she couldn't really get him. So it was kind of cool to finally see Penny, though. I was really excited to see her, and I think it turned out really awesome. I have to say that. So then we go back to the prison. But before we go back to the prison, actually, Michonne is actually watching the governor with Penny through a window. So, she knows what's going on. And last episode, she kind of figured out what happened with that the group that they gunned down for all their supplies too. She kind of knows. So, she's, leading on to this. So we go back to the prison and we see Rick. He's basically zoned out. From last episode we seen, he kind of went a little crazy. In this episode, he basically just... He just really just goes crazy, honestly. So Rick's just zoned out. He's kind of not even paying attention, just in his own world. If you get hit really hard, in the head or anything, really, you kind of hear a buzz. That's basically what's happening to him. He's just kind of whoa, zoned out, can't think of anything. That this really doesn't happen in the comics, but something happens in the comics that happens when Lori dies in the comics. They actually take something from the comics, but he never really goes completely insane in this episode. I hope he kind of tones it down next episode, because it was cool to see him kind of just freak out, but I want the old Rick back. Please bring him back. But it was cool to kind of see it a different side of Rick. It was almost like Shane type figure, in one of the last episodes where Shane was in it, the episode he died in, you could tell he was crazy, and that's kind of what I see through Rick in this episode. It's almost like a Shane kind of thing that happened. So but now they have the baby to deal with. So Daryl and Maggie go on a little recruiting mission, and they go to find baby formula, because Herschel says, we gotta feed this baby, and it's actually a girl, so we gotta feed her, because she's not gonna live if she doesn't have food to eat. And of course, Lori's dead, so she can't breastfeed the baby, so that poses a big problem. So like I said, Daryl and Maggie go out to go find supplies. Then we go back to Rick, and Rick's basically on a rampage. He just goes into the prison with an axe and is just slicing. He's tearing up these zombies, one after the other, headshot. He's just taking out all his anger. But he's not really in an angry state. He's basically just lost it, really. Like, that's really where he's at this point. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. Then we go back to Woodbury. Michonne actually sneaks into like the governor's little place and steals back her sword. Then the governor walks in and she kind of hides, and she overhears something very important. We find out that the governor's scientist, is actually working on something, and so we don't know what it is. But in my opinion, what I think is happening, like my speculation, is that he's trying to figure out how to bring the zombies, the walkers, back to real people, because really, I think that's what the governor's goal is. Like, he wants to bring his daughter back, like, from the dead, back from being a walker to being a normal child. And I really think that's the only thing that he'd really be interested in at this point. I mean, I can't think of anything else that he would really need a scientist for. Like, why would he be studying zombies? Why would he be doing all this, So that's what I think it is, and I think that's what the big project is. And like he said, he needed a lot of power. Well, in season 1, we seen a scientist trying to figure it out, and he had it looked like a lot more training, a lot more equipment, and he couldn't figure it out. So, well, this scientist, I don't know, but I hope he does, because it'd be a kind of really cool thing that, that would differ from the comics. That'd be really cool if we seen something like that. That'd be really cool. So, then the governor and them walk out of this room, and Michonne jumps out of the window. She runs away with her sword, so finally got her sword back. That's pretty cool. And so she finds this cage. Michonne finds this cage when she jumps out the window. It's a cage full of zombies, and they're kind of just locked up. And you're thinking why are they locked up? But if you read the comics, you kind of know why. But we find out later. But she unlocks the door and she just goes crazy on them, similar to what Rick did basically at the prison when he's going insane. She cuts them up, blah blah blah. Then we see a guy come in with a feeding bucket. And he kind of just drops what's going on? So we obviously know that he was feeding these zombies and keeping them alive under the governor's orders. And we basically find out why he's doing this. And again, it's straight from the comic. They actually have this arena, gladiator arena that they have that uses zombies. But we'll get into that more later on. That was near the end. So basically, Michonne's in big trouble now. And so the governor finds out when Michonne killed all these zombies that he's keeping held captive, and he basically he doesn't seem angry with her, but you can tell he's kind of angry. And Michonne basically says, "I know about Penny." So I don't think Michonne really knows about Penny. It's when she was in that room, she seen a notebook, and it had names, and it said Penny, and it kept on underlining Penny. So I think she just assumed that Penny was someone important. But again, in the beginning of the episode, we seen her looking through the window while the governor was holding zombie Penny. So, I don't know, it could be either way. Michonne could actually know who Penny is, or is just assuming that Penny is someone important. So, either way, it still kind of worked. But, so then the governor kind of is holding Michonne's sword in front of her, and she kind of just, does this, ninja move, but, does, a little backflip. He doesn't do a backflip, but she, turns around, grabs the sword, puts it to the governor's throat. She could have killed the governor right there, but she kind of just backs away and leaves. And I thought that was a really cool moment that we could just, see, how cool and, clever Michonne really is. Just to, turn around like that, in a snap, and just take down the governor right away. That was pretty cool, but, of course, she doesn't kill him or anything. And he kind of just runs away. And then the governor kind of tells Andrea about Michonne and, what's going on, with her. She's, not following the rules around here, and of course Andrea's a little angry about it, because Andrea obviously wants to stay, while Michonne obviously wants to leave. So then we go back to the prison, and Glenn is going through the hallways of the prison, and he finds Rick, and he tries to calm him down. He's like, "Rick, slow down, what are you doing?" But he doesn't touch Rick. Right when Glenn touches Rick, Rick goes insane, pins him up to the wall. It almost looks like he's gonna kill him. What a tragedy that would be if Rick just killed Glenn right there. Glenn's one of my favorite characters. I hate it that he did die in the comic, but I hope he really doesn't die in the show, because he's such a cool character. But we could see how far Rick has gone into his little mental state right now. He doesn't even really recognize Glenn. He's almost attacking him, so you can see that he's really not all there. And yeah, so back to Woodbury. We actually see like a wind-powered generator. So I'm assuming this is how they generate power in Woodbury. So that's really cool. And there's actually solar panels too. So the governor, scientist, Merle, and a couple other guys go to this generator, and there's basically a hole in the ground, like with nets. It's like a trap, and it actually is there to trap walkers, so the scientists can study them and stuff. But also for another reason, we actually see Merle pulling teeth out of the zombies, and again we find out that this is for this like gladiator battle at the end of this episode. I'll get more into that later though. But the governor's scientist actually has duct tape around his arms, so when one of the walkers bit him, it didn't really do anything, kind of just like slid off because it's duct tape. So that was actually really cool, little scene there that I thought that was really cool and just really a neat way just to take another approach to like protecting yourself from zombies. And another thing I'd like to see in the show is in the prison, in the comic, which I'd love to see in the show, they actually put on the riot suits. I know Glenn does, a couple other people do. That'd be really cool to see, just to see in like on the screen. So that'd be awesome. So then we go to Daryl and Maggie, and they actually find like a daycare, and they're looking through it to find like formula, baby formula and stuff. They find diapers, bottles. So that's good. But there's like arts and crafts in this daycare with like hands on the wall with kids' names on it, and we actually see a name. Sophie, and Daryl kind of glances at it, and I think it just brought back the memories of Sophia, and it was just a moment that you really had to like. It went by so fast that it's kind of hard to pick out, and they don't really say anything after that, but you can kind of feel that it's like in Daryl's mind that he's thinking about it, and that's why I kind of love this show. I love The Walking Dead for this, and Breaking Bad actually does this too. Haven't seen Breaking Bad? Go watch it. But they have these subtle little like nods to other things that happen, and just like things that are really you can't really pick out if you just like glance over it. You have to really pay attention. That's what I love about this show and Breaking Bad. So that was one of those moments that I love that make a TV show really awesome. So they get baby supplies, and they actually find formula, so that's good. So now we know that Lori and Rick's baby is gonna actually have formula, so she can actually survive. And I don't know what they're going to name the baby, but in the comic it's Hope. So maybe they'll call the baby Hope. I'm not sure. But then we go back to Woodbury, and we basically find out that Michonne kind of figured out that they're not going to let you leave Woodbury. And she was just trying to she killed those zombies that were held captive so that the governor would kick her out. Because she know if she asks, like, can I go now, they won't. And I think the main reason for this is that if the governor lets you leave Woodbury, I think he just doesn't want people to know where Woodbury's located. What if he lets someone go, and they have a huge group outside, and they come back and overpower the governor's, Woodbury? So that's basically what the main reason is that for. So Michonne tells Andrea this, like, they're not going to let us leave, like, we got to go now. And so then Andrea just straight up asks Merle, can we leave? And he opens the door and says, yeah, go, whatever. And Michonne kind of knows, like, this is a setup. They're just saying go ahead, just so it counteracts what I said, just to make me seem like I'm lying. So that was kind of cool, too. And Michonne ends up just leaving. She just straight leaves. So Michonne's on her own now. And I'm surprised Andrea didn't go with her, because they've been together for so long now, just surviving with each other, that, it's kind of a sad moment to see them separate. But how is Andrea really gonna hold up in Woodbury by herself? I mean, really, Michonne was the one that was protecting her. Really, without Michonne, she wouldn't be alive. So I don't know how she's gonna do on her own, but I'm sure Michonne's gonna be fine by herself. She's so cool, like, with her sword and everything. Like, she can take care of herself. And even in the comic, she's a huge character in the comic. And her character's way more developed in the comic, but I'd love to see her character get a lot more spotlight, a lot more screen time on the show. And it looks like she is, because, it's really focusing on her in Woodbury, so that's cool to see. We go back to the prison, and Daryl and Maggie come back, and Daryl actually holds the baby and is feeding her, and it was just such an awkward scene, but it was a really awesome scene too, just to see another side of Daryl. He's holding the baby oh baby, it's just so cool to see just another side of him, and just see I don't know, like the soft side of him too, because he's really not this like hard guy that has no emotions. We can see that he actually does. He's actually this awesome guy. So it was really cool just to see that. It was awesome. So then we go back to Rick, and Rick's going through, and he kind of finds the spot where Lori got shot, where Carl shot her, and all we see is this trail of blood, and Lori's body isn't there, but we see a bullet in the ground, and the bullet in the ground's actually like hit the ground. We can see that someone shot the floor there where all this blood is, because the bullet's actually flat at the end. So we know that Carl actually did shoot Lori, but Rick follows the blood trail, and he sees this zombie sitting there. The zombie's still a walker, like it's not dead, but it's not Lori. So he's wondering, where's Lori? Then we see the zombie's stomach, and it's bloated. So we don't know this for sure, but we basically do, I guess, that zombie actually ate Lori. So, I don't know how I would feel about Rick right now. Like, I don't even know what Rick was trying to do. Was he just trying to go see Lori just to make sure in his mind that she was dead? I'm not really sure why he would go there. Maybe he wanted to kill Lori like himself as a walker. I don't know. But he sees a zombie, this bloated zombie that ate Lori, and he just stabs him in the stomach like 100 times. So he's just taking out his anger, I guess. But man, it was just such a gruesome scene. Like, I can't believe it. Then we go back to Woodbury, and we see this zombie arena that I hinted to in the beginning. And so basically, the governor takes these zombies, takes their teeth out, puts them on chains, and puts them in a circle, and basically has people fight in the middle. And Merle was fighting this random guy, and everyone was cheering for Merle. There's stands, and they're cheering for Merle. It's kind of funny to see. And really, what was really disturbing to me was that there was actually kids there watching this. So like, how messed up are you gonna be to watch like this? But I don't know. Andrea felt the same way. She was like, how can you do this? This is like disgusting. This is wrong. And the governor's basically saying, oh, don't worry, man. It's staged. Like, nothing's going to happen. It's staged. It's all fake. But she's still saying, no, you're teaching them that walkers aren't deadly. And the governor basically says, no, we're teaching them not to be afraid. So that's kind of two sides of the same coin. You can look at this both ways, but really, I think it's wrong. It really is just, it's teaching the kids that are watching, these people that are watching that, yeah, don't worry about these walkers. Look, they can't touch us, even though it is all staged. Their teeth are gone. They can't kill them. So like, really, it's there because the governor wants to entertain his people. But really, if you think about it, there's other ways to entertain people. I mean, you don't have to have this zombie fighting Spartan arena. Why don't they have like karaoke night or something? Like, honestly, hula night, like something. But so this just another shows how insane and how they act in Woodbury. And we see this expression on Andrea's face that really shows like, maybe I should have left with Michonne. And we actually really see that. I think she's regretting not leaving with Michonne. But then we go to a couple last scenes of this episode. We go back to the prison, and we actually see Daryl, and he puts one of those, I think it was called Cherokee Rose, I'm pretty sure, from season 2, the flower that he had a connection with Carol with. He puts one of those flowers on her grave that they dug for her, and they actually dug a grave for T-Dog, and everyone that died, Lori, T-Dog, and Carol. But really, we don't know if Carol's dead. We never seen her die. We just seen her run away. So I don't know if she's actually dead, but they're presuming that she's dead. But like, is this gonna be another thing with Sophia that they're gonna go looking for her? Like, that's what the first thing that popped in my mind. But they actually do think she's dead, so that's not gonna happen. But it was kind of just cool to see that scene again, like another side of Merle again. Like, we've seen actually the soft side of Merle 2 times in this episode, when he's holding the baby, and basically when he puts this flower on Carol's grave. So again, we get to see another side of Daryl throughout this whole episode. Then we actually see Rick again. This is the last scene of this episode, and a little bit to talk about. We see Rick, he's just sitting there next to the zombie that ate Lori, and there's a phone, and it starts ringing. And how is this possible? Rick goes up, picks up the phone, and says, hello. And this is going to be a huge spoiler right now, so if you don't want to know, just don't listen, just close the video now. But in the comic this happens, so I know what's gonna happen unless they change it, but I'm pretty sure this is what's gonna happen. In the comic, Rick picks up a phone, and it's basically Lori talking to him. And if Lori's dead, it's basically just him, like in insane mode. Like he's basically just hallucinating this, and like in lack of better words, he's hallucinating. So he's actually talking to Lori, and she talks to him like, "Why didn't you save me?" Blah blah blah, like just stuff like that. It's just basically his regret building up, and it's just taking this form of this hallucination. So basically that was the whole episode. I think it's gonna be really interesting to see next episode, because I don't know what they're gonna go from here on, because really everything's kind of resolved now except for Andrea and Woodbury. So it's gonna be cool to see what's gonna happen next. But thanks guys for watching. I just want to let you guys know to rate, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at unblesseddata. So I just want to say thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Peace.